Welcome to the Painter Marketing Mastermind podcast, a show created to help painting company owners build a thriving painting business that does well over $1 million in annual revenue. I'm your host, Brandon Pierpont, founder of Painter Marketing Pros and creator of the popular PCA educational series, Learn, Do, Grow, Marketing for Painters. In each episode, I'll be sharing proven tips, strategies, and processes from leading experts in the industry on how they found success in their painting business. We will be interviewing owners of the most successful painting companies in North America and learning from their experiences. On this episode of the Painter Marketing Mastermind podcast, we host guests Mike and Miriam Freeman. Mike and Miriam are married co-owners of Mike's Quality Painting, a residential repaint company based in Albuquerque, New Mexico, that currently does over $6 million in annual revenue. Mike and Miriam attribute much of their success to having a great team, and they provide some compelling thoughts on how consistent marketing has helped them grow their business. They discuss a unique tactic they use to motivate their painters to secure Google reviews from customers, and how that has led them to now having nearly 400 reviews online and further accelerated the growth of their business. If you want to learn more about the topics we discussed in this podcast and how you can use them to grow your painting business, visit paintermarketingpros.com/podcast for free training, as well as the ability to schedule a personalized strategy session for your painting company. Again, that URL is paintermarketingpros.com/podcast. Mike and Miriam, thank you for being on the Painter Marketing Mastermind podcast.
You're welcome. Thanks for inviting us.
Thanks.
Yeah, so I guess tell us a little bit about Mike's Quality Painting.
You want to take that?
Yeah, I guess we've been in business a little over 10 years right now. We started in 2011. We're a family-owned business. Me and Mike own the company together, and his mom used to be a partner in the business. She recently retired in the last 2 years. We do residential repaint primarily, a little bit of commercial, but primarily residential repaint. We do a floor coating as well. That's yeah.
All right. So, and then what was your revenue in 2021?
2021, we did just a little under 6.3 million. So I think it was around 6.28. So
okay,
didn't quite make the 6.3.
So you guys are you had told me about 80% residential repaint, 20% commercial repaint, company based in Albuquerque, and you're doing about, I guess, 6.3 million at this point.
Right.
In revenue, founded in 2011. Well, that's impressive growth. Congratulations, guys. You've only been around 10 years. Yeah. So I guess kind of walk us through that, not to dive in too fast here, but starting in 2011 wasn't really that long ago. And now you guys are very sizable, doing over 6 million. What do you attribute that to?
Well, so, if I can answer that, Miriam, I think the biggest thing I would say is that we sort of started this business, like she said, with Miriam and my mom and myself kind of all working together. So we really started with kind of huge overhead and a lot of people that were actively involved in trying to figure out how to grow the business. And we kind of had to grow the business because there was a bunch of us trying to make a living out of this thing. And so we really couldn't wait and grow it super slow. So we started off really focused on trying to grow the business, I think, always.
Yeah, definitely. And that's right. And I think really what has made us successful is just having a good team from the start. Like Mike said, between all three of us, Mike really focusing on the field and the painters. I started focusing just on marketing, and now I manage our office sales and marketing. But at the time, Mike's mom managed the office and I just focused on marketing. I think just really having a good team focusing on different areas in the business is really what helped us grow so quickly and successfully.
I love that. Yeah, I love this idea that you guys had no choice because you started pretty top heavy. And obviously for a lot of painting company owners, it's the opposite. You're a painter and you're tired of working for somebody else. So then you start your own painting company and you're the estimator and the painter and the office staff. And it's okay, when do I make my first hire? And it becomes this, you guys just dove right in though. Totally opposite.
Yeah.
So
bit of a backwards approach.
Yeah, it paid off. Did you ever, when you did that, did you ever feel like you had made a mistake or kind of stressed like, hey, we shouldn't have all dove in on this, or how did that work?
Yeah, I think I can I can kind of speak to that a little bit. I know in 2011, it was super hard, right? We didn't have enough revenue to even remotely justify what we were doing. And we started in April. And I would say by August, we were out of work and dead broke. And we were actually kicking around and talking about letting go of the painters we had hired in that time and I was saying, well, maybe we can teach Miriam and Mom how to paint and we can just try and figure this out and scale back for the amount of work that we have. And so it was pretty scary. I mean, it was dicey. That first year was pretty tough, to be honest with you. We just about didn't make it.
What were you guys doing before that?
So I was in a partnership in a painting business with my brother, and we split up in February of 2011, and then made the decision, Miriam and I, to start a business, and then I invited my mom to come into it. And she was actually working for my brother and I prior to, so she left that when he and I split up, or had put in notice to leave that, and then she agreed to come on in a partnership capacity.
So you're the favorite son, basically.
Yeah,
No,
it's
yeah.
a tough subject, honestly. I think through the split up, she was really struggling with it, and
Yeah.
to be fair, I think my brother said some things about it that really offended her, and so there was a business breakup as well as a bit of a family split there. That's kind of a tough subject, but
Yeah, no, that doesn't sound fun.
No.
Okay, so you had some background in painting, and then you guys just went full hog on it, and it worked out. Well, congratulations. That's great to hear. So Miriam, you were in charge of the marketing. I like
Yeah.
marketing.
Yeah,
Obviously it's critical to getting those sales, especially when you start top heavy.
yeah.
What did you
definitely.
do? What did you do in year 1, year 2? How'd you make that work?
Yeah, year 1, year 2, we did different things for marketing. I think the biggest trick that I've really learned through the years for marketing is being consistent. I think it probably was our second year, right, Mike, that we started doing TV ads?
no,
Our
it was
first
our
year?
first year. It
Maybe
was,
in August,
it was
was it?
July. I never forget the TV ads going out. That
So
was awful.
it's a very funny story. Here we are being a small company, like we said, Mike was running the field. Somehow a TV company approached us to go hear about advertising, right? They had a thing at a hotel, and Mike painted all day. He took a change of clothes, suit or khaki pants, and he was going to meet the TV ad lady at the hotel right after painting all day. And of course, he stayed long painting all day, showed up in his whites, didn't have time to change clothes. And we met with this, agency to advertise on TV, tiny little company, right? We maybe had 2 or 3 painters. And, and we made the crazy, outrageous decision to advertise on TV our first year in business. And we had a little nest egg. We had all kind of saved up, and we said, let's just throw it in. Mike's like, let's just throw it out there and try TV. So I wouldn't say like that was the biggest trick when we started, but we signed up for 1 year of like that brand advertising with TV. And we were consistent. We stuck with it. I don't know if it was like the craziest decision ever, but now everybody sees us on TV in town. Everybody knows us. We walk into a restaurant or a store and they recognize Mike all the time. It might have been like the craziest thing for us to do when we started the business and being so small and spending so much money on it. But I really think that helped brand us. And I think that was a big, crazy, marketing decision. But I think it really did help us grow and brand ourselves.
Love that. Yeah, you guys are definitely willing to take risks. How expensive was that TV ad?
Yeah, so I can speak to that because I remember it scared me to death. So to give you the full backstory, at the time, our kids, our youngest son, we were talking about his age in weeks, not months, right? So 2 very young kids. We had a little nest egg saved so that we could get things going. And from the split up of the business that I was in before with my brother, and it was a $26,000 contract that we signed to do television. And so it basically was right around $2,000 a month, and we had to be committed for the full year. So if we canceled at any time before the contract was up, basically they got the money anyway. So there was no getting out of it. If they wound up suing us, I think they could go against us for 50% is what we'd agreed to. But we were basically stuck on this contract, whether we liked it or not, once we signed it. So it was scary, right? It was a reasonably big commitment. And I remember at the time in July so the commercials started airing in July. I think we did the deal maybe in like May, and then they had to produce the commercial for us. So there was a whole bunch of stuff they were doing for us to make it work. So they helped us to produce the commercial, send out the TV crews, and then it was going to start airing in July of 2011. And I was thinking that, we were going to be in trouble because our phones were going to start ringing so much off the hook that we wouldn't be able to answer the telephones with all of this expensive new advertising we were doing.
Mhm.
And I don't think we fielded 3 phone calls in the month of July that year. It was totally dead. In 2011, I don't know how it was where you're at, but the economy stunk. People that had businesses for years were struggling to have leads, to get business, and we committed to all of this money. So July, nothing came, certainly nothing from the television ads. August really wasn't a whole lot better. And I thought by September, because we had signed that contract, I was like, this thing's going to break us before it ever actually pays off. And so we were pretty freaked out by it, to be fair. I don't think those TV ads actually started working until spring of the following year, where we started getting leads that people said, oh yeah, well, I see you on television.
So you think it's related to what Miriam was saying of that consistency over time, or why do you think?
I do, by and large. I mean, advertisers always tell you when you're signing up on these things that, well, you have to do it consistently. Nothing works as a one-hit wonder. There is no magic wand. You have to just be consistent.
Sounds like a line, right?
It sounds like a total lie.
Yeah.
It sounds like they're just trying to keep you on the hook to
You
take
have to
more
just
of your money.
keep paying us every month. That's the deal.
That's right. And eventually it's going to work. And
Yeah.
you start really losing faith on it. But at the end of the day, I do think that's right. And we've been doing, at the end of that first year, we were ready to sign the contract again. So it did start working. It was a slow pace, but at this point, there's not too many people in Albuquerque that don't know of Mike's Quality Painting. They've seen us on television. They've seen our trucks around. We do a fair amount of other marketing and things, but TV has by and large been, it's been a good thing for us with the consistency of it.
You have to carry a pen now, so you can always be ready for an autograph.
It sounds dumb, but people do recognize me a fair bit when we go places.
It really
all kinds
does.
of weird places.
It sounds so funny, and he gets so embarrassed all the time, but no kidding, it happens all the time. Even if we're in another town that's not Albuquerque, like I don't know, we go on vacation to Ruidoso or Taos or something, people recognize us all the time, and people do act like that. He was training one of our new salespeople last year, and there was these 2 women, I think they were sisters, that Mike gave a bid to, and they just about fell over to see Mike. Like, they were just like, you're doing our estimate? Oh my gosh. So it's the craziest thing. I mean, and we're just simple, we're painters. We're not like fancy people, and he's not like, like a big celebrity, but people see you that way. It's weird.
I love that. Yeah. So you guys said you're doing some other marketing, as you've grown you started with the TV ads. What have you found other marketing that works well? Have you ever tried any marketing that you thought would work well and was a huge flop? How has that worked?
So we started with television, but we've done consistently a ton of other things. I mean, we actually started with doorknob hangers. So going around canvassing neighborhoods, and we sold our first jobs from some of that stuff. So we've tried everything. I mean, Miriam can tell you the list, but we've done tons.
We do probably, we do lots of advertising. We focus on social media, having a good website and digital, like that's the day and age we're in, right? I'd say those things really go well. I wouldn't say any one thing has flopped really, really bad. I think just kind of, again, being consistent, at least trying it for 6 months or a year. And if it seems like it didn't work, I've done bus ads. I love the bus ads. I think they were the coolest thing, but it didn't feel like we got a good ROI or, return on our investment. So we track it. I don't know if other companies track it so well, but every time somebody calls in and asks for an estimate, the people in the office always ask how they hear about us. I run a report every month, a source report, a lead source report, and then find out, oh, we're getting more of our leads from internet and TV. We're not getting as many leads from this newspaper ad or this um, you know, billboard or what have you. And so we'll make those changes. So I don't know if there's one thing that flopped so bad. Like I said, we don't do as much print ads anymore. Like I said, we tried the bus ad. I loved it, but I didn't see a big turn ROI on it, so I didn't continue it. So
What was the bus
yeah.
ad? Was that your face? Is that why you loved it?
No, you know, you know what I used the bus ad for actually was hiring, that we were hiring painters. So it was a
Nice.
little different. I didn't use it for, you know, just generic painting.
Have you guys found a difference in the quality of lead or sort of what they're looking for based on lead source?
Yeah, I think so. Absolutely. I would say internet is our number one lead source, and the quality is not as good as other lead sources for sure. But we definitely get the quantity. We get tons of leads from internet. But again, I notice when I pull the close rate on the sales for internet, we don't close as many sales from internet. So the
Little
quality
colder,
isn't as
maybe.
much. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think too, internet leads, when you run those appointments, you know, I don't want to say they're tire kickers. I think they're folks that are wanting to get something done, but they're getting lots of estimates, right? It's not uncommon to show up and hear people say, well, I'm doing 5 estimates, so I've got to wait until all of these are done until I make a decision. And you're like, what do you need 5 appointments for? Like, you have that kind of time. But people do, and they will certainly shop around much harder.
Yeah,
they
and
don't
I
have
wonder
that
if
familiarity.
COVID has accelerated that, you know, with people being home, it's not as inconvenient to get multiple estimates or to get more estimates.
Yeah, I think it's a fair statement. I've noticed, though, to some respects, people are a little bit pickier about who they're getting estimates from. They don't want just any and everybody around their house. And some of that I attribute to COVID, right? So they'll, and the other thing I would say is that our experience has been that through COVID, people seem to have a little bit more money and a little more of a driving focus about getting things done because they're at home and it's easy. So they're not as price conscientious. They seem to be more comfortable and willing to spend the money. I don't think we're competing with things like family vacations and dining out and some of those kinds of things over the last 2 years. So people just kind of have more money and are more excited about getting things done around their house.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. You know, there are always kind of two sides to a coin. And I think there's been a lot of benefit, as terrible as that may sound, a lot of benefit from COVID for painting companies. It's created opportunity.
Everyone in home improvement kind of across the board, it seems like those markets are way up.
Yeah, 100%. So you guys have, you know, you kind of dove in top heavy, dove in with your marketing, pretty aggressive approach. You had some background in painting. So you had a company with your brother, which is, I guess, makes it a little bit less risky. But what advice would you have for a smaller painting company? I was gonna say they're 500,000, let's say they're under 500,000, and they're listening to you guys, you know, over 6 million. They think, man, I would really, you know, in 5 or 10 years, I'd really love to be there. Where do they start? What do they do?
So I think, you know, the answer to that question, I think realistically is as unique as every painting company who's going to be listening to this, right? So if I had to give advice to somebody who's really wanting to grow their business, I think before I would talk to them about the how you go about doing that, I think you have to kind of talk about the why do you want to do it. The reality is it's not that easy. You take a lot of shots, right? It's not that easy to grow a large company. You have to depend on people. You have to really invest in people and train them, and you get let down by them. And there's a lot that kind of goes into that. So the first thing I would say is decide for yourself why you want to do that. Like what's the driver behind it? What's your end goal? What are you trying to accomplish? Because if you set about it just sort of like, well, I kind of want to do this. It's a wish. It's not really a goal, and it's not something that's probably going to be sticking for you. So that'd be first. And the second thing I would say, more than just marketing, is you need to build a really good plan. So, you know, one of the things I can say for us is from the beginning, we've had a really great business coach. We work with a Nolan company out of Philadelphia, and they've worked with us consistently year over year to build and develop plans that are going to help us to do the best we can with what we have today and to build plans around how we can grow in a strategic and systematic way. And I think more so than just marketing, that's been the most impactful, because marketing does one thing for you. if it's working the way that it should, it makes your phone ring. And that's important, right? Nothing happens until your phone rings. But if you had way more phone calls than you have the ability to answer the phone, you haven't really done yourself any favors. And if you've got more leads than you have ability to go and run estimates and get people prices, you've really not done yourself any favors. And if you sell a bunch of work because you focus all of your energy on the marketing and sales, but you don't build a production team that can actually produce the work, all you've done again is piss a bunch of people off. And so there has to be sort of a real approach to how you're going to grow if you're serious about wanting to do it. And so, I mean, those to me are the two big things I would say to anybody that wants to grow. You just have to recognize that you need to really want to do it and be willing to take the slings and arrows that it takes to do that. And you need to really build a comprehensive plan around that. And if you don't know what that looks like, I would suggest finding somebody that can help you, that's done it, that can coach you through it.
And to piggyback up on that, I really think having good systems and processes in place, and like what Mike said, Summit has helped us be organized and having good systems and processes. So I agree with everything Mike says, but also I think just having good systems, processes, and a team. You know, we said early on we had high overhead and a big team, but same thing, we have a great team now, and that's how we've been able to be successful. I think just knowing you can't be that one business owner, that one painter that does it all. You can't answer your phones and paint and you know, do everything. So
Yeah, I think having the team, having the plan, you know, scaling production and sales in tandem is really important. And I think this idea of taking hits, you are going to take hits. So you have to have a strong why, you know, because you're going to take hits. An entrepreneur I look up to, someone very successful, told me that when I decided to be an entrepreneur, I decided to step in the ring, and you don't just throw punches, you take punches. And that's part of growing a business. So I like that.
Yeah, you learn a lot along the way. I mean, you know, like I said, you have to depend on people. You know, growth is about surrounding yourself with people, and inherently that opens you up to some risk and some liability and some letdown potentially. So you've got to be ready for that.
Yeah, I would love to dive into this people aspect a little bit more, because you guys have talked about the importance of the team, and you know, not everyone's always maybe lived up to expectations. What's your model right now, your employee model? Are you guys W-2, subcontractor? W-2.
It's all W-2.
All W-2. Okay. How is that going? I guess talk to me about your hiring process. You know, maybe some great experiences, maybe some learning or hard experiences. Let's dive into this.
You want to take that? Miriam is our hiring guru, so I'll let Miriam answer that.
Oh gosh, you guys are stumping me. I wasn't ready for this question.
It's not all from the script, Miriam. We go off script.
You don't know me. I'm the structured person that you're throwing off here. No, I think just hiring. Gosh, you guys are throwing me off on this question. Mike, go ahead. He'll answer.
What's your hiring process? Let's do that.
Our current hiring process. So currently our operations manager, Jerry, who runs our field, he hires all our field employees, all our painters and whatnot. So we'll post ads, you know, whether it's Indeed or Craigslist or what have you. And then the field employees come in and you know, he has certain criteria he goes off of, and then he makes the decision to hire them. And then, you know, we're kind of split up pretty nicely, our teams. You know, Jerry runs the field and our operation, our field. I run sales, the office, and marketing, and I hire those employees. And so my process for hiring office and sales is a little bit different than, you know, the field employees. Go ahead, Mike. Sorry.
The only thing I was going to say is that we really do legitimately have to market for painters these days. So, you know, when Miriam's talking about, we ran bus ads to try and tell people we were hiring, and we have signs on all of our vans that say we're always hiring, and we do Facebook campaigns and Indeed campaigns, and we're constantly marketing. Marketing has actually shifted a lot over the last 2 years to we market almost as heavy for recruits as we do for new work. And so, you know, building that team is kind of a big issue. And so when somebody does come in They fill out an application. They get sort of screened and vetted by the front office staff. So they're the ones taking in the applications. And they take a lot of notes. People don't realize they're being evaluated, but the office staff is evaluating them on their appearance and how polite and pleasant, and, do they have a skull tattoo on their cheek and some of those kinds of things. And if they make it past sort of the gatekeepers, then they'll turn the application over to Jerry, who will then call them and set up a time for an actual interview. And so if the interview goes well, they meet the criteria, they can pass a drug screen, they can pass a background check, they have their own transportation, their tools. He gets the feel for who they are and where they're coming from and what positions he's hiring for, whether that's apprentices or painters or people to work in the concrete coatings division or whatever. If he makes the decision to hire them, he turns them over to our HR department, and then we'll set them up for an upfront orientation. They go through an orientation, they go through some safety checks and trainings before they go out into the field, and then they get assigned to a crew. And there's a bit of a process behind that where once they're on a crew, the field supervisors and the crew leaders are evaluating them for, gosh, I think it's a 30-day evaluation at this point while they're actually working for us and getting trained and seeing how well they, show up to work and interact with the other team members and those kinds of things. So there's a whole process that goes into that to make sure that if somebody's going to stay with us for any length of time, that we vetted them out to make sure it's a good fit and a good hire and things like that. And if they don't make the cut, we try and get rid of them quickly so that we don't waste a lot of time and get them set up with things like insurance benefits and retirement plans and all of those kinds of things if they're not going to be a decent long-term fit.
Right. Have you guys found any specific messaging or any specific lead source to produce better employees?
No, unfortunately, we haven't. I wish I could give everybody away the great
Still working on
magic.
cracking the
Yeah.
code.
Yeah, exactly.
The thing I'll say to that is that I don't believe there's any magic wand, like the perfect employee pool is in this one spot for advertising and marketing.
It's
And
the
all you
bus
need to do
ad.
is go, you just need to go tap into that resource. The thing that I'll say we've learned and that we try to follow is that we're always hiring. So we are constantly willing to look at new candidates, new applicants, when we need help, when we don't need help, all the time we're looking for help. So the thing that works historically the best for us, it hasn't been that great this year, interestingly enough, but historically in the winter months, we do a lot to keep our crews busy and not do layoffs in the winter months and things like that. And so we generally can be fairly busy in January and February. And so we'll ramp up our hiring campaigns a lot of times for painters and for, we'll try and do some advertising to see if we can get people that are disenfranchised with where they're currently working that are maybe good guys, but aren't staying real busy at the companies that they're at, and try and bring them on. So so that generally is the best thing, is just to always be recruiting and always hiring and always trying to grow the team.
Yeah, have a hiring funnel. You just kind of create a backlog for yourself.
That's right.
So what do you guys do to stay busy? Well, first off, how many painters do you guys have? How many W-2 painters?
51 feet on the street right now.
That includes our floor coating team.
Right.
So we actually
51 people.
That's right.
Ooh, okay, that's quite a bit. And you guys tend not to lay off painters over the winter?
we never lay off painters.
I don't think we've ever actually done an organized layoff of
No.
painters.
So maybe now you guys actually do have a secret code that you can share here, because that's obviously been a big problem for a long time for a lot of painting company owners is kind of ramp up, ramp down. What do you guys do? How do you stay so busy over the winter?
Yeah, I really think the way we stay so busy in the winter is in the summer and the fall. We push winter discounts. We actually do work at cost in the winter time just to keep our guys busy and working. And so absolutely in the summer and fall, we'll start advertising to customers if they didn't sign up for an interior job for whatever reason. We say, well, we could offer you a winter discount if you're willing to wait to have your painting done in December or January. And that really helps pre-sale work for the winter. We're discounting work just at cost, in our budget. Unfortunately, we might be budgeted to lose money a couple months, December or January, but we're keeping our painters busy, and it's okay, because then in the busier months, we make money. And so it works out. Keeping the guys busy and keeping a good team is what's worth it for us.
So when you discount, I mean, what kind of discount are we talking about here?
We honestly feel like, I hope I don't give away the whole farm here, but
I asked if
secret.
there was anything we weren't supposed to share. You guys said you're an open book.
That's right.
It's fine.
We usually give a 20% discount for winter work. So winter work is between December and February is usually when we offer a 20% discount. And we'll offer it pretty heavy. Like I said, if what our sales reps are out there in the summer or the fall and they can't close a customer for some reason, they can offer that. And then we start sending email blasts, Facebook, social media, and we'll start advertising the winter discount in like December or January. February for Valentine's, I sent a Valentine's email blast. Email blasts always get the phones ringing for us, and especially with a discount that gets it going. Our email blast distribution list is pretty big. We're maybe like, maybe I'm like 9,000 on my list. So it usually gets the phones ringing no matter what. I sent one out yesterday and there was no discount and it still got the phones ringing. So just being consistent.
Now, are these past customers or what is this list?
Yeah, a little bit of both, a little bit of past customers, a little bit of just kind of maybe names I've collected along the way, prospecting or whatnot. And it always seems to work. Yeah.
Awesome.
The other thing to kind of piggyback on what Miriam's saying about winter discounts, even our painters, we do a fair bit to train them. So if they're painting the outside of somebody's house and they do their final walkthrough and the customer says, gosh, I really love this, I really want to get the inside of the house done next. Most of our painters are trained pretty heavily to say, well, gosh, Mrs. Smith, if you wanted to get the inside of the house painted during the winter months, we generally will do that at cost for you just to keep everybody busy. So that's the best time of the year. What you ought to do is call and schedule an estimate, and we can find out how much, and you can see how much you're going to save. And so the team really gets involved with helping to sell our winter backlog. And all of the guys know and recognize that winter's a tough season, and the better job we can do as a group to have our winter booked before we actually get to the winter, the busier we're going to stay and the better that is for everybody. So everybody participates. It's not it's not happening just in the office. It's happening everywhere throughout the company. I mean, I think we've done a good job with the sales culture around that.
Do you guys provide any sort of commission or incentive for painters that do that?
No, they get to work.
They get they eat.
The reality of it is, our guys are W-2 employees, they're hourly employees. And if we don't have hours for them to produce, there's nothing for them to do. And so they get pretty incentivized around that. We do a fair number of fun things for them for Google reviews and things like that, but not really. They get commissions if they sell additional work orders, but they don't, if they get somebody to call in and schedule an estimate, there's really not a commission for them around that.
So what fun things do you do for Google reviews and other things like this?
So right now we offer extra PTO time for our painters. If they ask a customer for a Google review, their name just has to be mentioned in the Google review. So it's easy. They can just tell the customer at the end of the job, if you write a Google review and mention my name in the review, then I get something a little extra. And what we've decided, our guys like extra time off. So we give them a little extra PTO time for every Google review that their name's mentioned.
Nice. So that can be anybody, right? If it's your third day on the job and your name gets mentioned because the customer says, give me everybody's names and let me write that down and I'll mention it in the Google review. Everybody that was working on that job is eligible to get it. So if you had a 5-man team on somebody's house, all 5 of them can get an extra bit of PTO put into their bank. So they get behind it, they like it.
Yeah,
and it's a fun way to reward them for doing a good job. And the guys show up wanting to do a good job because they want to get the good Google reviews. And so we celebrate them and have a lot of fun around it.
We have an all-employee meeting once a month, and I always read a couple Google reviews, share it with the team, and I ask everybody, what do you get if you have a customer write a Google review? So we're almost to 400 right now. So.
Wow. What is what's your rate? Do you guys track that? Like how many of your jobs you get a Google review from?
No, unfortunately, I don't track that. I track it as a lead source, of course, I guess I don't track Google review as a lead source. I just have a lead source as internet. And so kind of goes in just one big bucket.
Got it. Yeah, that is a lot of reviews. Kudos to you guys. I love the fact that I mean, it sounds like you have a lot of cultural stuff going on and kind of incentivizing people to head in the direction that makes sense for the company. You guys have the monthly meeting. I think it's great that you read a couple of the reviews. People are generally more motivated actually by non-monetary things, and recognition is a big thing. Is there anything else that you guys do culturally?
Well, you mean, like we do company barbecues and
You do. Yeah.
The all employee meetings. We celebrate birthdays. I think that's probably kind of some of the biggest things. I mean, we've always been sort of centered around, it's a family business, right? And if you come to work for us, you're part of the family. And, we don't anymore as we've grown, it's gotten harder, but we used to every Wednesday, we had an all employee meeting where Miriam and I would actually cook everybody breakfast.
Oh, wow.
And so we would be.
That was when we were early on, like the first
Few years.
the first
51
few
plus
years.
people.
Yeah,
trying to get
we
back.
can't do that now, but we had everybody at our house the first like 2 or 3 years in business. Every single week we'd make breakfast for everybody at our house. But like Mike said, it's very funny story. We didn't even share this that much. We had our second child, our son, a couple months before we started the business. So it was a little crazy. We'd be making everybody breakfast and have our 2-year-old and our baby at our house and all the painters. It's kind of fun.
Actually, that was what led to us buying our first shop, is that as we started growing, our neighbors started complaining because all of the cars that were showing up on our Wednesday breakfast.
Wednesday block party.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. Every Wednesday morning, and the neighbors complained. And so the city came and shut us down and said we were running a business out of our house, which we kind of were, but really weren't. I mean, painting businesses happen at other people's houses, not ours. But that's what caused us to have to go get into our first shop.
Man, that's funny. So you guys walked through your hiring process for painters and sort of all your positions, but you've emphasized this concept of a great team quite a few times. And I know it started with you both, and then Mike, your mom. Is there anything you look for in particular when you're trying to hire a great team member, or what do you mean by a great team?
I think the number one thing we honestly look for is a great attitude. Somebody with a great attitude. We can teach them the painting skills. We can teach them office and sales. I think somebody with a really good attitude and willing to work as a team. Funny story is last week, we decided, me and Mike, to start teaching a class to all our employees. So for the next 8 weeks, we're teaching MQP experience class to everybody, a little bit of customer service, teamwork, and communication, and just kind of bringing it back home, and that's what it's about.
Love that. Yeah, that's been there are always themes that come up in these episodes, and this idea of hiring for attitude, hiring for cultural fit is a big one.
Truthfully, it's the biggest thing to hire somebody around, right? I mean, if you've got somebody with a great attitude, they're probably going to be coachable. They're going to be fun to be around on a job site. They're going to be pleasant for a customer to deal with. The skill of painting, I don't want to minimize the skill of painting, because it's a definite craft, right? But 80% of what a painter needs, you can teach them that in the first year. And with good oversight, you can get a lot of effective work out of somebody with not that much experience if you have the right leadership around that. But somebody with a sour attitude, I don't care if you're an amazing painter, if nobody can stand to be around you, it's probably not going to be a good fit. And so to me, that is the number one thing, is just somebody who's going to fit in and gel well with the teams and be polite and pleasant to be around in somebody's homes. I mean, our tagline used to be, we'd never invite anybody into your home that we wouldn't invite into our own. And we've tried to hold on to that. And it used to really take center stage at the morning breakfast, because we would have people apply that I'd be like, I don't want to let that person in my house. And then you have to think about it and go, gosh, if I didn't want them in my house, why would I let them in somebody else's house, right? And so how are my customers going to feel if we brought that person on? And so it does take a real meaning of just being thoughtful about who you bring on and how they will be received by your employees and by your staff, or your customers.
I like that threshold a lot, that bar, what I want them in our home.
Right.
Because they are going into people, residential, it's exactly what they're doing. And I love that. And that's obviously one of the things people sort of worry about, or is their stuff going to get stolen, or is there daughter, who pet, whoever's safe, you know,
Right.
how background checked is everybody. So that's a
Right.
great benchmark. So what is, you know, you guys grew pretty fast, right? 10 years doing over 6 million. What were some of the struggles? In the beginning, you guys had some cash flow struggles, but I guess, did you, with that kind of scale, that kind of growth, seems like your company would basically be reinventing itself every year or two. How did that work?
So that's true. I mean, the systems that we run today aren't the systems that we started with. We're constantly every year evaluating our systems and our processes and saying, is what we've done to this point going to be what it takes to get us to the next level? And so we do reinvent ourselves an awful lot. I mean, I think everybody culturally sort of embraces the change. There's always new things coming out. We use the slower season through the winter months to kind of really think about what worked well through the crazy season and what didn't, what needs tooling up. We bring our management team into that. We bring our field leadership into those meetings. We do annual SWOT meetings to you know, the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And we get everybody's feedback on what things were you guys saying that worked well, what wasn't, and we make suggestions, and then we try and boil that down. And those wind up being the big rocks that we're working on every year is, you know, how do we improve and how do we constantly get better? And so, you know, to ask me what specific thing have we, you know, what challenge have we had to overcome? I can't think of one we haven't, to be honest. So hit me with your best shot. I mean, we have gone through, you know, obviously, like all businesses, we've gone through cash flow issues. We've gone through issues with finding enough help. We've gone through issues of having good salespeople and training and development and growing the team. I mean, I feel like we've done it all.
I think maybe I hadn't thought about it that much until now that Mike's talking it through. We've gone through so much. Even this last year, I have to say, we lost some crew leaders, and you know, we rehired people, we promoted people into those spots. We lost salespeople, like Mike said, we've lost them and we rehired. I think just trying to think the exact word, just always, I don't know if the word is resilient, maybe that's the right word, is just to always keep going and not feel disappointed and not feel defeated. Like we just said, I just hired 3 new sales reps the beginning of this year. We lost 1 last year and I hired 3, and felt a little challenging. It felt a little crazy, like, really, I lost 1 sales rep and we've decided to hire 3. Is that crazy? And they're doing great out there. I think just being resilient and knowing we can do it and we can get through this. Maybe we have some challenges. We lost some crew leaders, some painters, maybe we had some jobs go bad, maybe we had some customers be upset. But I think one thing we've really kind of talked about through the company, because we have had jobs that go bad, is to always know, no matter what, we're not Mike's perfect painting, we're Mike's quality painting, but we're always going to make it right with the customer. If we break something, if we get paint on somebody's
Cat.
the cat.
Whatever.
Wow. If we do anything, we're always going to make it right for our customer. We did have a situation a couple weeks ago where we dented somebody's refrigerator or damaged it in just like the slightest way. And Mike immediately got on the phone with the customer and said, we're replacing your refrigerator, you know, no questions asked. And they felt like flabbergasted that we were just going to replace the refrigerator. We weren't going to try to fix it or try to, you know, whatever. We always do everything to make it right for the customer, no matter what. And for the employees or the whatever, we're always going to work to make it better.
Wow. Yeah. And I think that idea that you're not going to be perfect and just act with integrity and make things right, kind of go above and in your reparations, I guess, or fixing this scenario. I think that's huge.
Yeah.
And I also, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, please.
I was just going to say, you know, thinking about resilience and things that we've gone through, it's like, as you were talking, Miriam, I was thinking about our operations manager last year came down with COVID. And, you know, right at the end of January, he got COVID. And, you know, anybody that's dealt with this, you know, you look up one morning and a key person is gone. And he got bad sick with COVID and wound up actually out of work for almost 9 months.
3 months.
Sorry, 3 months. So 9 weeks he was just gone, wound up in a nursing home in rehab. You know, he got the full ICU clap, and they played his theme song when they wheeled him out of the ICU because they thought he was going to die. And you know, through that, we were able to step in, cover the position. We were able to take care of it. We were able to pay him through the whole thing. He never missed a paycheck. We just, just get better, focus on that, do what you have to do. So, kind of part of this whole family theme of we're resilient, we take care of ourselves, we take care of each other, and we're there for each other, I think goes a long ways towards just building that team and kind of building a culture of resilience where people will pitch in and help out when something's going bad, because they know that, we're not in this alone. This job, this life that we're all living together is very much together, and we're here to help and support each other. And so it drives that kind of cultural participation, if you will, with everybody just trying to pitch in and help each other out and do the right things.
Yeah, I think you guys stepping up and taking care of someone in a situation like that probably speaks volumes to the rest of your team about what you would do for them and will do for them, and I think that probably helps create the sense of loyalty that you guys seem to have. So are you guys practitioners of the entrepreneur operating system? I noticed you mentioned rocks.
No, I'm not familiar with the system.
Oh, okay. Just
Big Rocks is it's a term we use, and so we may be somewhat participants of it through our through the Nolan Group, and Big Rocks is kind of something that we've adopted from them in kind of their coaching and teachings. It's just
got it. So I guess
I don't know where they got it. We're just sucking off of them, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, hey, you found someone who's charted a course of success and you're following it. So what in your business right now would you say is just going the best? You're just knocking it out of the park.
You want me to answer that?
Go ahead.
So aside from just having a good team, I feel like we do have a great team kind of at all levels, and a good management team. I think what we do better than probably better than most is, kind of from initial call, to scheduling an appointment, to getting an estimate, to handing that off to a production staff, to communicating with the customer, to getting the job scheduled, and kind of the machine itself of taking in a lead and converting it to a customer, and then rolling that customer through production and dealing with the individual details. We say all the time that every job is kind of a unique installation. It's a custom paint job. And so I don't care if you're doing two homes that are right next door to each other that are the exact same floor plan. It's an entirely different job with different challenges, different furniture, different repairs, different everything. And I think we do a good job of kind of funneling that through and keeping up with the details. Not to say that we're perfect, but I think we do a great job of handling that in volume. So I think a lot of smaller companies do a good job when the owner goes out, he gives the estimate, he gathers the information, he's going to be on the job site painting and doing it, and so details don't get lost. We've worked really hard to build a system that will allow us to scale that type of feel to a customer without having to have it be single sourced through one person. So if you ask me what I think we're doing to kill it, that's probably the thing I would say we do better than most.
I love that. Yes, you've built a system that maintains the quality without having to depend on one specific person.
That's always been the goal, I think.
Yeah. Is there anything that you guys are finding particularly challenging right now for your business?
Developing leadership is probably the hardest struggle, right? Growth is fantastic. It's a great problem to have, but it is very much a problem, right? Because the pace with which we've been trying to grow sometimes outpaces the ability to train and develop leaders that are kind of required to carry that workflow. And so that's the thing we struggle with the most. That's where our biggest focus on attention is right now this year is how do we really dial into developing leaders that are wanting to step up from, whether you're trying to step up and grow from an apprentice to a painter, to a job leader, to a crew leader. I mean, how do we really help people to succeed and find the desire to want to grow and develop? Because a lot of people just don't want to take on more responsibility. And so That's probably the biggest challenge, is just outgrowing our people, or our ability to develop people, I guess I would say.
The internal versus external hire conundrum that you always face. Awesome. Well, what do you guys see for the painting industry in the future? Do you see it changing? Do you see it not changing? What are your predictions?
Changing from what it has been, say, the last 2 years to something different, you mean, or something over the last, say, 20 years?
More or less 20 kind of in the next 10. Do you see any major shifts that you guys are predicting or not really?
You know, what I think I see is, and I could be wrong on this, so who knows, but realistically, my prediction is that there's going to be some consolidation of painting businesses. And what I mean by that is I think you're going to see more companies that are scaling large, which starts kind of pushing out some of the single, sole proprietor, owner, operator, guys that are basically functioning as one painter in his truck and once in a while hire somebody to help him out when he gets a little too busy. I think you're going to see the model changing away from that somewhere. That used to be, there were lots and lots of small companies and very few large companies. And I think you're going to see the industry shift a little bit to more large companies and very few independent, one guy in a truck and a brush and getting things done. That would be my guess.
Truck in a truck is going to get squeezed out, you think?
I think that's probably right. I think the way that the ways that you find the person that you want to hire, the trust that you have for the people that you want to hire, the days of people knowing their neighbors and referring the service workers that they've hired and have had good luck with is moving away to an online model where if you don't have a good presence and a good marketing strategy, you're going to struggle to find work, and that just squeezes out the chuck in a truck.
Yeah. Do you guys have any advice for other painting company owners that would want to achieve your size and your success?
Any advice? I mean, I think it's totally doable. I think there's plenty of work out there. I think if somebody wants it, they just have to be, like I said, really committed to the why. Why do you want this, and what is it that you're really trying to do? And you need good plans, and you have to be willing to reach past yourself. So I'm a house painter by trade, right? I don't have the business acumen to develop fantastic systems and to hire everybody, but here we are, and we've done it because we've been willing to say, I don't really know, but we need to get this problem solved. So let's look past ourselves and see who can we hire, who can we work with, who can help us to do what it is that we think we need to do. And I think you have to be willing to do that. You have to be willing to accept, I don't know everything about everything, and that's got to be okay. If you really want to do it, you have to be willing to find the people that can help you to do it. And there's lots of them out there.
Yeah, I love that. Do you guys have anything else that you want to add before we wrap up?
No, not really. The only thing I would say is that for anybody that wants to grow, I think you have to be willing to think about the systems entirely. I think I sort of said this earlier, but if all your focus is on how do I make my phones ring, but you don't put any attention on how you answer those phones or schedule estimates or produce work, then you're sort of missing the boat. And I see a lot of painting companies that will try something for a short period of time. And, so for example, they'll try an ad campaign that may work really well. It gets their phones ringing, but then they recognize that they can't keep up. And so they back it off. And so you see these real kind of wild swings of peaks and valleys. And so you just have to be a bit methodical about how you promote yourself, and then what you're willing to do to hire people and kind of work beyond what you're personally able to do. Yeah.
All right. Well, Mike, Miriam, I really appreciate you guys coming on the show and sharing all that value. Thanks so much for your time today.
Hey, Matt, thanks for inviting us in.
Yeah, it was my pleasure.
All right.
If you want to learn more about the topics we discussed in this podcast and how you can use them to grow your painting business, visit paintermarketingpros.com/podcast for free training, as well as the ability to schedule a personalized strategy session for your painting company. Again, that URL is paintermarketingpros.com/podcast. Hey there, painting company owners. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure you go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Give us your feedback. Let us know how we did. And also, if you're interested in taking your painting business to the next level, make sure you visit the Painter Marketing Pros website at paintermarketingpros.com to learn more about our services. You can also reach out to me directly by emailing me at brandon@paintermarketingpros.com, and I can give you personalized advice on growing your painting business. Until next time, keep growing.